Hello.
Hello.
Can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Melissa Broek. I am a jeweler and sculptor, and I am the artist in residence, one of 7 artists in residence here at Lillstreet Arts Center.
All right. What's your earliest memory of creating art? Where did it all start?
It's probably one or the other of my grandmas. They're both creative. My grandma Barbara, she was a home ec teacher, and so she was really into making her own clothes, sewing, altering clothes, and then also baking pies, being, amazing homemaker and stuff like that. So she was definitely an influence, and sewing is probably my first creative thing that I was doing. There's a picture of me at 4 years old sitting at a Singer sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the first photographic evidence of that.
They trusted you with a sewing machine at 4.
Well, I snuck down into the basement and was using it. So it wasn't, I don't know. I just did it. My family, all of my family kind of are makers. And my other grandma she had her own draperies and window treatments business. So I had seen people using sewing machines. So I was just like, I'm going to try it.
Okay, well, that kind of leads into my second question. How did your environment growing up impact your creativity? It sounds like you were surrounded by it, by your family.
Yeah. They trusted me with, I don't know, it was just always around. So it was just kind of a built-in thing that I just saw people using. My aunt is a potter and a glass blower also, and I spent Fridays and Saturdays with her. And so, I kind of just grew up watching people make things.
So it was all over the place, and it was kind of normal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my dad would draw and paint and stuff. He had a big old art box that he would take with him everywhere. So
cool. Do you have a definition of success as an artist, as a creative, or do you not look at it that way?
Success is tough because I think that I'm always trying to push myself, and then it takes a lot of time and energy to look back and say, oh, that was actually a successful moment.
Right.
So success for me is just kind of maybe taking those moments to look back and see what I've done. Mm-hmm. Being able to support myself on my art, that's definitely a success of mine that I've felt more recently.
And that's where you're at now?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's through art, it's through teaching and, my own work, but yeah, it's all kind of all together.
Awesome. What's your approach to the business side of art and monetizing your work? Is that kind of just like a major pain, or does it just come with the territory, or how do you view that side of things?
I like that side of things. It is a challenge to get myself to sit down and do it. So I really have to set aside time for that. Applying to shows is like a year in advance. So I'm kind of planning right now for the summer, the fall, and the winter next year. So it's this tricky thing where I have to always be looking ahead while also trying to exist in the current moment. But I love photoshopping photos, and I love applying to things because writing about your work allows you to look at it in a different way. And you just get more of an insight into what you're actually what's driving the work and all of that. I like the business side of things. I don't think it's really that much of a pain because ultimately it's me sharing my work with the world.
Right.
And so it's still a part of me. It's still an enormous part of me, but it's just, you have to, what's that called? You have to compartmentalize a lot.
Got it. Interesting. And then do you have an online store that you set up and you run all that yourself?
I have a website. I mostly do custom work through Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a project that completely failed? And did you learn from it
all the
time?
All the time. Yeah. So I have a scrap, my scrap bin. Every jeweler has a scrap bucket that they just are like, that was a complete and utter failure.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing with jewelry is that a lot of the times those materials can be recycled. And so we're taking from that scrap and then we're making something new, either pouring an ingot to make out flat sheet or wire or whatever. Trying to think of something that failed. Also, when you fail in the jewelry studio, oftentimes I'll just melt it. Just hit
this, that reset button.
Yeah. Let's make this into something new and let's just destroy this. with fire right here, right now. So
sounds satisfying.
yeah, it is really satisfying. Kind of that, like, I don't know, cleansing fire, I guess.
Yeah. So what is that? Is it like a sculpture that falls apart, or like a piece of jewelry that doesn't hold itself together, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's badly manufactured by the person that made it. Or whatever. And yeah, heat control is an enormous thing when you're trying to solder your pieces, and so burning through something happens all the time.
I'm sure that takes like a lot of experience to figure out.
Yeah.
Totally. What's a piece you've created that you're most proud of? Is there a handful that really stand out to you, or maybe one that really stands out to you?
Yeah, the spinner pieces in my most recent show, I'm really proud of those. I'm proud of the ability I'm proud of the ability to make larger scale work and to make it also movement oriented. And so these spinner pieces, they're on a little axis and then they spin, and I'm very proud of that. And I would like to go further with those. I want them to eventually generate electricity through people spinning them. And that'll come, but right now I'm very tired.
So is that an idea you had to work up to, like one you had in mind for a while and that you weren't really ready to accomplish maybe, or is it just something that you finally went for and it all came together?
No, I work very intuitively, so what comes out is kind of like, it's a step-by-step thing.
You're not sure about it until it's finished, type of thing?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So as I was making these kind of larger forms, I just was playing with them and spinning them in my hands, and I was like, oh, these should spin. And it just kind of happened.
Was it like an aha moment, sort of?
Yeah, totally.
Interesting.
Because they also make really interesting shapes when they're spinning, right? It makes it a volumetric shape instead of a thing that's just lines.
Do you have any advice for someone first starting out, maybe from a teacher perspective? I'm sure you're used to this sort of thing. So.
Yeah. Be generous with yourself. Jewelry is not like something that you inherently know. It's a skill, and it's all muscle memory. And so if you're starting those first like Metals 1 classes or first time classes, it's going to be a challenge because your hands and your brain, they don't quite match up yet. And so getting to that point where your hand skills can match the things that are coming out of your brain, what you want to make, being gentle and taking time, and also applying to things, and don't take no's so harshly, because you don't know what those people are actually looking for, really.
How has your work evolved over time?
It's gotten more recently, it's kind of expanded. When I first moved here, I did the One of a Kind show, and so having to make like production work, which is like jewelry explicitly for sale. You make it quickly, you use stones, you use sterling silver, whatever, to kind of more sculptural work with my solo show. I was really sick of making tiny shiny things, and so I was just kind of like, I can't even think about doing that right now. So I played with scale by doing some steel brazing and just expanding kind of that way.
All right, this is kind of a fantasy one. Is there an artist, living or dead, that you would love to sit and converse with?
Alexander Calder.
Oh, he's from around here, yeah? Was he active in Chicago?
There's one of his sculptures downtown.
That's it.
The large red one.
Yeah,
that looks like
Flamingo.
legs. Yeah, is that what it's called?
It might be.
That's really cool. He also did a lot of mobiles.
Okay.
And movement and shadow based work. I would love to just like spend some time with him in a studio.
Yeah.
Because he worked really fast too, and he wasn't too worried about getting it perfect. Just kind of making work. Making the work is just as valuable,
right?
Than the final product.
So sounds like that intuitive approach that you mentioned. He shared that a little bit.
Yeah.
What role does safety play in making jewelry and working with metal?
Yeah, so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, closed-toed shoes at all times, hair pulled back, safety glasses on, definitely wearing a dust mask for sure. Safety is huge. And for a long time it wasn't that big of a thing. And so every class that I teach, we start with safety, and this is the question you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm just checking. So I'm like, that's a cool question. Nobody's ever asked me that before.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, every class that I start, we start with a safety demo.
Mm-hmm.
And like what we should we only have one self, and so taking care of ourselves and our bodies, we're the only advocate that can do that for ourselves.
Yeah, so it's kind of got to come right from the beginning.
Totally. Yeah, and we use fairly heavy chemicals in the jewelry studio. I have friends that get like blood tests done yearly because they want to know, their exposure and all of that.
Yeah, inhaling stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gosh, chemicals, fire, molten metal.
Totally, it's super dangerous.
Yeah, totally. No, can't have fun without a little bit of danger.
That's
right?
so true.
Last but not least, where can people find your work if anyone's interested?
Yeah.
Where should they go?
Instagram, Miss Melissa Broek. My website is anthemianjewelry.com. And here at Lillstreet, you can find me here. I'm here all the time. I think that's mostly it right now. Gallery 2052, which is down in Ukrainian Village.
Awesome.
They carry my work as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks.
Great chatting with
Yeah.
you.